So after 6.5 years, my wife and I have decided to close our retail store slash storefront for our screen printing and embroidery business here in downtown Dade City. And I want to talk about some of the reasons for that. Obviously, the most obvious one is there's 3 units here. We have 3 storefronts here in downtown. So that's 3 rents, 3 electric bills, employees. So it's quite a bit of overhead. So we really want to cut down on that. It's gotten to be a lot as we've expanded. The expenses have just grown, and it's takes so much volume to keep up with that now. You know, we have to do so much work just to meet our obligations with our bills and stuff. So it's gotten harder and harder to turn a profit as the years have gone on, as we've expanded and prices have gone up. That's the most obvious reason. But another big one, and probably more important to me, is the creative side of it from my standpoint. You know, I've always wanted to have my own merch lines and brands, and you know, when I got into screen printing, that was the goal. And then as we got rocking, I'm like, okay, I'm getting better at this design, I'm getting better at art. You know, I started painting more, designing more, and really starting to enjoy what I was creating. People were loving it. So my goal was, okay, I want to do 50% my own art and designs, murals, paintings, and then 50% is going to be custom merch. We print merch for people, custom screen printing and embroidery. And that was the goal. And I always thought, well, if we just keep working harder, keep expanding, hire more people, I'll be able to delegate more and have more time to focus on my stuff. And that just never happened. You know, I'd get momentum with art, whether it was murals, my own paintings, or my own designs, or my own merch that was selling. You know, I've designed all these shirts. I have the Florida shirts line. I have my Wook designs, which I really love. That's super personal to me. And I would get momentum, and it'd get busy at the shop, or the bills would be coming in. I'm like, man, we got to generate some revenue. So I would start focusing solely on the shop and neglect my stuff and put it on the back burner, and obviously lose all that momentum. I get frustrated time and time again, and this kept happening. And I'm always like, well, I'm just going to put my stuff in front and make it a priority, and I just never did. I could never prioritize my stuff. Custom orders and customers always took priority, which is understandable. So we feel like this downsizing or restructuring, or whatever you want to call it, is going to help with that. Free me up to do more of my own things, my own passion projects, my Woog merch line, do more design for pay, you know, design for hire. I've done some really cool jobs and worked for some really cool people, bands, comedians that I'd like to do more of. You know, like, it's sort of my dream to do a Dirty Heads poster or the Elevators poster, which, you know, it doesn't seem out of reach anymore. That could, to me, I really believe that's a possibility, but it's not a possibility if I don't focus on that. And I just constantly put the custom work ahead of everything else, you know, my own ideas, I feel like I'm wasting my talent and opportunity and all that. So that's my biggest reason, that I see the years going by and I keep neglecting my own stuff. So that's the 2 biggest reasons and what we're thinking about. And so now we're thinking about what's the best way to do that. Initially, our first idea was to clean at my dad's garage. Was filled with stuff, no one's been in it in years and years. To clean that up, get it ready, move my print stuff in there so we could focus on, that's just a print shop. We don't have to worry about the store anymore. We don't have to worry about being here physically, you know, through a set Monday through Friday. So that's going to free up a lot more time, make us more flexible, not have to do as much volume if we don't want to, because we don't have that massive overhead. So that's the plan. The first plan was to move into my dad's garage, but then we ran into some issues with that, which I'll get into in other future videos. So that's an option still, if it makes sense. The other option is to stay in this middle unit for the time being, which would be nice, because then I don't have to move all my equipment. I can just keep rolling. You know, we're already here and set up. Everything I need to print is in here. Our presses, the dryer, the compressor, all that's in here. So that would be the easiest, you know, but then we still have that overhead for that unit every month. Whereas my dad's old garage, we own it. We wouldn't have that overhead as far as rent. Still would have electricity, but really that's it. So there's a few ways it could still pan out. That's the idea. those are the reasons behind why we're making this decision. You know, having a storefront obviously has a ton of benefits, you know, and it's been amazing. I don't think we would have grown to what we have today if we weren't here and visible and legit. Like, people could come in here, talk to us, meet me, meet my wife. My nephew's one of our employees, and it just makes it more legit and official, I think, and more visible. So that's allowed us the growth we've had. I think it's been a big, big factor. Could we have grown the customer base from a garage or some kind of remote location? Probably, but I really think it would have taken a lot longer. Definitely. So obviously some of the things we're thinking about when we're making this huge move, this is a sort of a life-changing move. You know, we've built this business for 6.5 years. It's, you know, like our baby. Me and my wife built it together. My nephew's worked with us. It's a family business. So this is a huge decision. It's taken me probably 2 years to come to this decision. My wife suggested that we downsize years ago, and I just couldn't accept it. I couldn't face it. I wasn't ready to give it up, you know? Like, me and you built this together for 6.5 years. We're, you know, a fixture in the community. We're involved in the community. We're right here on Main Street. How could we give that up, you know? And a part of me is probably worried about what people think. Oh, you guys failed, you know, you're just packing it in. When really it's just a shift. We're readjusting, restructuring to try to make it more profitable and make more sense, give me more time to do the things I want to do and am passionate about. And skilled and talented in, you know, not in a cocky way, but I feel like I'm wasting opportunity and ability. So that's where we're at. If you have any questions about the process, or, you know, anything about owning a storefront or retail store or print shop or being an artist or anything, leave them in the comments. Plan to make a lot more videos documenting this process of us going through this. I'm gonna make videos talking about, you know, the pros and cons of having a storefront and all these different things, whatever ideas I have or whatever ideas you suggest that you want to know. Let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe. This is going to be my main channel. I plan to pour into this. I've been recording content as we go through this process, and I have written down a ton of ideas and topics I want to talk about, all based around art, you know, making a living with art, screen printing, merch lines, brands, design, just whatever I'm interested in, cool projects I'm doing at the time, how-tos, DIYs. We're going to figure it out in the beginning, but the main focus right now is going to be this process we're going through, our thoughts, and just sort of documenting that. Thank you if you've watched this video. It means a ton. I'll see you in the next one.